Today we'll be learning about friction and gravity. We might not make it to gravity today, so we're going to be focusing on friction. Your homework was about friction. You had to go around and find items or think of things on certain surfaces and tell me if they would have high or low friction. Okay. Sometimes you want a high friction and sometimes you want a low friction. Let's review the first 3 rows together, and then you guys can share your rows with the class. Okay. So we have ice skates and ice. Would this be high or low friction? High or low? Sam, what do you think?
I think low friction.
Low friction. Yeah, it's very slippery. And now we have hiking boots. What surface would we use hiking boots for? Sarah?
For road.
For the road?
Yes.
Okay. Road, rock, dirt. I'll write a few. These are all places you can hike. Think about a mountain. Okay. And would you want low friction or high friction for this, Sarah? Do you want your book?
It is high friction.
High friction. Very good. Okay. And then we have snow tires. What surface would we use snow tires for? Taylor, what surface would we use snow tires for?
I think tires mean the wheels to do on snow. So I think the surface is on the tire.
The surface is snow. Yeah. Snow and the tire. And do you want them to have high friction or low friction?
I think it is high friction.
Why do you think it's high friction?
Because I think the snow, it cannot be flat and it can go up and down. So maybe it can go to high friction.
Okay. Fair answer. Well, I want you guys to tell me some that you thought of. Let's have someone share now what they wrote. Scarts, what item? What's another example of an item we would use? It can be any item, really.
I don't really remember.
Okay. Items. Alex.
Example is metal wheel go on cement road is high friction.
So a metal on what?
Metal wheel on
Oh, metal wheels.
metal wheels run on cement road. It's high
Cement road.
friction. Toy car run on wooden floor is low friction. Plastic cup go on a wooden cupboard is high friction.
Thank you, Alex. Good job on your homework. One. Anyone do their homework for the last one? Zook, what did you come up with?
A laptop mouse and the surface is a laptop low friction.
So you said a laptop?
Mouse.
Oh. Laptop mouse.
This.
And then, oh, okay. A mouse. Yeah. Let me, I'll just write mouse.
Okay.
And then,
No, the surface of the laptop.
Oh, but do you use it on the surface of the laptop?
Yes.
Okay. And does it have low or high friction?
Low.
I'm gonna write mouse pad. Most people use a mouse pad, but yeah, you are correct. It is low friction. Yeah, this is low friction. You always want your mouse to have low friction. Imagine if you had your mouse on like sandpaper or something. It would be very hard to move around. Does anyone else have an example they would like to share? Taylor, what did you write?
The items I choose are metal on my iPad, and the ones I choose, the surface is on the slide, and I think it is a low friction.
Oh yeah, iPad and on a slide. That's very low friction. Yeah. You want to give me one more or?
Yes. Then I choose a towel on lots of rocks. So I think the towel is not smooth and the rock are bumpy, so it is high friction.
Very good. A towel and rocks. These are combination I've never thought of. Good job, Taylor. Okay, Ray, what did you do?
I choose a football shoes, and the surface is a football field,
It has a high friction.
Yeah, those are good. And they actually have those little bumps in them, right? The shoes?
Roads on zip lines, they have a low friction.
Yeah. And what's your third one?
Four wheels on roads have a high friction.
Great examples, Ray. And let's have Lisa. What did you write? Yeah, low friction. Very good. Metal and a slide. Yeah, that would be very low friction. Good job, guys. Let me clear the drawings real quick. Okay, let's finish number 10 on that page. Write the correct answers from the word bank on the lines. Okay, I'm gonna have someone read the first sentence. Fill in the blank as you read. Read the first sentence and fill in the blank as you read. Let's see who knows it. Let's have Blue Moon. You don't know the answer?
Friction is a force that opposes motion between objects that are touching.
Thank
It's
you.
like
Motion, it opposes motion. Remember the word oppose means works against. It works against motion, okay? If something is moving, friction is going to try to stop it. Friction is going to try to stop it. Okay, Moon, can you read our second sentence?
You slide more easily. It's low friction. Then there is a high friction.
Thank you, you're exactly. So you slide more easily when there is low friction. Very good. So guys, look at the answers and let's have someone read it all together. I'm gonna have someone read it all together. Pasta, can you read both sentences for everyone now that it's complete?
Friction is a force that opposes motion between objects that are touching. You slide more easily when there is low friction than when there is high friction.
Thank you. Okay. What are some examples of friction you experience every day? You can tell me some times they experience friction. Think of times that you're rubbing against something, or what are some times that you experience friction every day? You guys have already given me some examples for homework. Emma, what's an example of an experience where you experience friction? It's okay if you don't. This is something new. What are some examples of friction you experience every day? So what's something that you do that involves friction or motion?
Run.
Run, exactly. And what do you use to run? What is touching the ground?
Shoes.
Shoes. And what are they touching? What type of ground do you run on?
I think it's brick.
Okay, yeah. And yeah, that causes friction. If there was zero friction, you would not be able to move. You'd be slipping and sliding everywhere. You'd have to push yourself off of a wall and slide to class. That'd be kind of fun. Okay. So I have some examples here. We have going down a slide. Maybe you kick a ball. There's friction working against the ball. And the bowling ball. When you're bowling, do you want more friction or less friction? We have Kim. Kim, when you're throwing a bowling ball, do you want the bowling ball to have less friction or more friction?
I want to have less friction.
Less friction. Okay, yeah, it slides. You usually want the bowling ball to be very slippery, and they also they add oil to the track to make it slip even more. But they don't add the oil past this line. If you guys see this line here, there is no oil on this side of the line because that's where you are. You don't want to slip. If Mr. Connor slips while throwing his bowling ball, he might slide and hit the pins. And that wouldn't be good. Yeah, Moon?
And what if you go to and what would you fall? You fall down and down and down to the ground?
That'd be awesome. If I make it to the end, I'm gonna knock over all the pins so I can get a strike. Is that cheating?
When in TV, I see the ball hit that, then it go down.
It went through the floor?
No, it's go pew, 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 pew.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Have you ever been bowling?
No.
Moon?
No.
No? You should go
No.
bowling sometime. I think there's some bowling in Hanoi. Bowling's a lot of fun, guys. Mr. Connor's not very good at it. They can usually add bumpers. They usually can add bumpers like this, so the ball doesn't go into the gutters. And then it makes it a little bit easier. Okay. Okay, directions. I would like you guys to rub your hands together. Rub your hands together. Everyone. Okay, now I would like you to move your hands across a smooth surface or surfaces such as a desk. Find the smoothest surface you can find. I'm going to use this table and rub your hand across it. You can rub it as fast as you can, okay, or as slow as you want. And number 3, move your foot across the floor. Move your feet across the floor. You can either stand up or stay sitting. It's up to you. Do all 3. Rub your hands together. Move your hands across a smooth surface. And rub your feet across the floor. Okay, guys, make sure you do all 3. We're going to test them out. Okay, Mr. Connor's going to check his floor. Well, my floor is slippery. Mr. Connor's wearing socks. I could go ice skating on my floor. Okay. Let's answer some questions. What surface was the easiest? Let's start off with the easiest to move across. Which one was the easiest to move across? Sino, which surface was the easiest for you to move across? Your hands, the desk, or something smooth, or the floor, your feet on the floor?
My desk.
Your desk was the smoothest?
Yes.
Very good. How about Sophia? How about you? Which one was the easiest for you? Was it rubbing your hands together, rubbing your hand across a desk, or rubbing your feet across the floor?
The hand.
Your hands. Okay, cool. How about you, Sarah? What was the easiest for you? You can try each one again. You can rub your hands together, touch a desk or a smooth surface, and then rub your feet across the floor. Which one was easiest for you?
Touch the desk.
Touching your desk. Okay, very cool. And now, guys, can you share what was the hardest? What was the hardest to move across? Hardest. Milk. What was the hardest for you to move across? Your hands rubbing together, your hand rubbing on a desk, or your feet?
My feet across the floor.
Okay, your feet across the floor. Jackie, how about you? Jackie? Hongming?
The feet under the floor is the hardest.
Okay. Very cool. The feet across the floor again. Scart, how about you?
My feet move across the floor.
Okay, so this is the same for everyone. Let's call in one more person just to make sure. Rose, what do you think? What was the hardest one for you? Floor?
Yes.
Okay. Very good, guys. That's strange. Mr. Connor, the easiest one for me was my feet across the floor. But Mr. Connor's wearing socks. I'm not that flexible. Mr. Connor's wearing socks. So my feet are super slippery on the floor. But if I had my socks off, I'm sure it would be the hardest. What is the difference in the surface that are easy and hard to move across? What are the differences? Let's have Misha. What is the differences in the surface that are easy to move across and hard to move across?
I think they're the same.
They're the same, okay? How about Kim? What is the difference in the surfaces that are easy to move across and hard to move across?
The floor.
Yeah, but what's the difference between your floor? So your floor was the hardest to move across, and let's say your desk was the easiest. What is the difference?
The desk is smoother.
Smoother surfaces usually have less friction and are easier to move across. Is friction a contact force? Why or why not? Is friction a contact force? Banana. Is friction a contact force?
Yeah.
Yeah. And why is friction a contact force? When we're looking at friction, two objects are doing what to each other? My hand. Let's say we're using my hand and the desk. Are they going to be touching each other and feeling for friction? My hand and my desk when I'm touching it?
Yeah.
Yeah, think about it. My hand is touching the desk. Everyone, your hands are touching your other hands. It's contact because the items are touching. My hands are touching. My hand is touching the desk. My feet are touching the floor. Remember, to have contact, contact means to touch. Forces that touch you, okay, are usually like if I was to push a box, that's a contact force. If I was to pull a swing, that would be a contact force. Draw to show where the friction would occur. Okay, guys, I am going to let you guys draw a circle of where the friction would occur if this boy pushes this box. Good job, Pasta. Good job, Cherry, Taylor, Blue Moon. Okay, these are the two spots. You guys are correct. It's where there is contact. The boy is gonna, there's gonna be friction here, but most of the friction is going to be on the floor because the box is going to be sliding. Okay, which direction is the box going to slide? What direction is the box going to slide? Taylor, which direction? To the left or to the right? What do you
I
think?
think the bus will go straight up. Go straight.
Go straight, yeah, to the left or to the right? He's pushing it. He's pushing it. So do you think it's gonna go this way? Or this way?
It will left.
It's going to go to the left. Very good. And the friction is going to be along the floor to the left. Good job, guys. Now I would like you guys to get a piece of paper out. Get a piece of paper and a pencil. It can be a notebook. You can use pencil or pen. I now want you guys to think of some examples of friction. Now that we've talked about friction, I want you guys to think of some examples of friction. I want two examples of when you might want there to be very little friction, two examples of when you want very little friction, and I want you to write two examples of when you would want there to be a lot of friction. And a lot of friction. And you need to write two examples for each. I'll give you an example for each one, just to help you guys brainstorm. When might you want there to be very little friction? I would want there to be very little friction if I was ice skating. Because when I'm ice skating, I want to slide around on my skates. If there's too much friction, my skates won't work. So what I would write is something like this. So my first example would be, I would want very little friction while ice skating. Or you could write about bowling, okay? But make sure you're coming up with your own. Don't just copy mine. I would want very little friction while ice skating. That is an example of what you would have to write, okay? And when I would want a lot of friction, I would want a lot of friction when trying to start a fire. Okay, when you're trying to start a fire outside, you want a lot of friction so you produce more heat and can start that fire. Okay, these are just two examples. Come up with two examples for each one for a total of 4. For a total of 4. Okay, guys, I'll give you guys around 4 minutes, or I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes to write your examples, okay? And then we can go over them. It is time to share some of your options. I'm going to get 3 examples for each, okay? That's what we're going to aim for. What's an example of when you would want very little friction? Little friction. Sino, what did you write?
I would like no friction while riding my bike.
While riding your bike, you want very little friction?
I said no friction.
No friction. I think you would want more friction while riding your bike. You don't want to slide. If you slide, you might hit a car or a motorbike. Uh-oh. Okay, let's see what else someone wrote for low friction. Sarah, what's an example of when you would want very little friction? When would you want to be slipping and sliding? When is that a good thing? Okay. Pasta. What's an example of very little friction?
I would want very little friction while I'm swimming.
Oh, you're swimming. Very good. Yeah, friction will slow you down. Even a water slide. Guys, if you've ever been on a water slide, that's super slippery. That's because the water causes even less friction. So swimming, going down a slide, these are all examples of when you would want a little friction, when you want to slide. Okay. Or maybe you're flying in a plane over the sky. You don't want there to be a lot of friction. Your plane might crash if there's a lot of friction. Okay, but when would you want a lot of friction? Let's go over one example. We only have time for one example. Taylor, when would you want there to be a lot of friction?
I am still thinking.
Okay, well, let's think of some times. When is it really bad to be slipping? To think of times you would want a lot of friction. When's it really bad to slip?
I think I want to have a lot of friction when I'm sitting on a hill, and it's I will not slip down the hill, because sometimes when I'm playing up the hill, yeah, and it will be very slippery. I slide down the hill. It's very scary.
There you go. You want a lot of friction while sitting on a hill. You can write that down. You'd want a lot of friction while riding a bike. While riding a bike, I would switch yours, Sino, because if you're riding a bike and you don't have friction, your bike might slide and you might hit someone, or someone might hit you. When you're driving a car, the car needs to have a lot of friction. Once again, you don't want your car slipping off the road. Mr. Connor used to drive when it was snowing outside. So in the US, in the United States, in America, Mr. Connor would have to drive in the snow and ice, and the roads get super slippery. And one time Connor slipped down a hill inside of a car. Imagine being inside of a car and sliding down the hill like you're on a slide. That's very dangerous. That's very dangerous. Mr. Connor almost hit another car. Thankfully, there was no one below me because I slid the whole way down the hill. I hit my brakes and my car kept on sliding because there was no friction. There was very little friction. People slide across ice all the time. People slide across the ice all the time. And some people even die because of it. If your car or your motorbike was to slip across ice. Okay, guys, have a great day.